Welcome back to Black Swan Outdoors, and today we have another gear overview. Today's operative, his name is Jamie Smith. He was the former director of Blackwater. He had done his own business, and previous to that, it is believed that he had worked also for the CIA. He's a very contentious individual. There's a lot of questions about him and the validity of his stuff. He wrote a book about his kind of formation of his company and his mission in Libya. It's an interesting read. It's a fun read. It's not terribly realistic in many ways, very kind of questionable in others, and he talks a lot about his own personal politics, which are really kind of fucked up. But other than that, so I thought that'll be fun. He had a list of some of the gear that he had packed in his Libya trip, so I thought we'd do a video. This is going to be a two-part video. Kind of a small pack that he carries with him all the time, and then a larger pack for extended things like sleeping and hygiene and change of clothes and that kind of stuff. So, all right. So with that, be it as it may, whatever his circumstances are, this was his loadout that he had packed. And what he had said was it was in a smaller pack, so something like a large lumbar pack or large hip pack, small day pack, backpack kind of thing would suffice, and it coupled with a larger pack. This pack's weight is in around 10 pounds, whereas the larger pack is looking about closer to 50, as he says. So very first at the top, he talks about packing magazines, 4 rifle magazines and 3 handgun magazines. It was unclear I don't remember if it was stated in the book that he actually traveled with firearms or if he acquired them when he got there. So certainly if he was going to Libya, these could be, I don't know, maybe these weren't for an M4 or AR or whatever. I actually don't even remember what the firearms were, but this is a good representation. That's all it is. This is just for fun. Next up, he had some PVS 13 night vision goggles or monocular. I can't talk. I don't have something like that, but I do have some binoculars, which I think would just as a fill-in. If you are interested, we're going to have a post. I'm not sure if it'll be posted by the time we put this video up. Hopefully it is. On if you don't have night vision goggles, what you can do in lieu of night vision. So if you can't afford NVGs, there are some more affordable ways in which you can see in the dark. So we talk about that in the post. So check that out. All right, next up he has a fixed blade knife. He talked in his book about a really expensive custom-made fixed blade knife. Probably not necessary, but it was probably, I think, in size and capability as the Rat 3. Probably this is a little thinner than the knife that he had used, and I am reaching for the name brand. I'll put it in the notes below if I can think of it or look it up. But I think this is a pretty good knife. This would be something, if I was going on a trip like he was, this would be the knife that I would take. That's just me. So next up here, protein bars. He kind of talked a lot about how his stomach really couldn't handle ethnic food. He was kind of a wuss that way. So he carried a lot of food because he relied on his own food. So protein bar, but I think that's really good to have, regardless, to have some food items. Then he had compass and maps. So this was just, instead of laminated, as he suggested, which I think is a good idea, I'm just putting them in a map case. Again, this is just an example. And then I'm just using my orienteering compass. I don't know if he had a lensetic compass or any kind of different style compass, but for me, I really like this compass itself, this base plate compass. It's small, compact, it works well. So that's what I would take if it was me. Maybe a Ranger style or one with a mirror. I have one of those Suntu's, the MCA. Yeah, I mean, I think that this would be fine. And then he also had with him a satellite phone. Now, I don't have any need for a satellite phone, and if I ever did, I would rent it. But for more domestic purposes, or kind of to make a translation, I just threw in a small handheld 2-meter radio, because this is kind of as a representation of off-grid communications, essentially. So can't communicate as far as a satellite phone, but certainly is a better than or alternative to the cell phone for many different reasons. But just a fill-in. So if you're going international, obviously you probably won't want to take that. And then next up here, he had an IFAC. So I have my larger pack IFAC, the one that I keep in my car. So it's got a tourniquet and Israeli bandage and all sorts of stuff in there for traumatic medicine. And then with that, he had Imodium and then also some antibiotics. This is just my travel pill bottle. In here, I have multiple different types of pills, and there's a little list of paper that tells you what they are, but it's GI, aspirin, ibuprofen, sleep aids, and a whole number of other kind of common and useful pills, medications to have. Next up here would be an IR strobe. I guarantee you he probably had the MS-2000 strobe here. These are pretty handy, pretty cool things. So I'll do a video on these if I haven't already done it already. U.S. flag patch, super awesome. Addition, I talk about carrying this in escape and evasion, especially when you're international travel. Sometimes it's kind of a good pointy-talky device where you can let people know that you are an American. I'd pair this, personally, I would pair this with a blaze panel, which is what which was what was done in a previous video that we did with a CIA contractor named All right, so next up we have a American flag patch. This is something that I would put in as well. It is something we talked about in an escape and evasion blog post that we'd done a while ago. So certainly something cool. I probably myself would pair this up with a blaze panel. But otherwise, I think that, yeah, just having a American flag as a pointy talkie, I think is a good thing to let people know that you're American when you think that that's going to be beneficial to you. He carries, in his particular trip, he carried about $5,000 in cash. Certainly that's not necessary. But if you want to carry $5,000, it's $5,000 in credit, or more than that, I guess. And then I put, about $400 in cash here. Passport, of course. And then he needed to carry with him an authorization letter that he was working under the auspices of the United States government. So he had that with him. So all of this would be stuff that he has on his person all the time. So if he had to ditch his other pack, he would have a smaller pack of more useful things that he could use as he needed. In the next video, we will dive into that pack. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and we have more videos like this on the way. Okay, so I went through the list without talking about a couple things in there. One was he had included batteries for everything in his smaller bag. For me and for the stuff that I had showed you, it's CR123s, AA and AAAs. So I just have these in some bags. This is just one of the theorem vaults for the CR123s. And then he talked about having 2 GPSs. So one GPS was full of maps and has a mapping capability. The second one was just a simple one like one of the Fortrex. This actually models a pretty cheap GPS. It does good. It does, fine. But if you wanted to preload some maps on a cell phone or a tablet, you know, as an alternative to carrying one of the bigger, more expensive GPSs, that'd probably be fine. Although those bigger ones or more expensive ones have more sensitive antennas, so they're able to capture a satellite quicker, so it can get you information faster without wasting as much batteries. So they are kind of nice to do. One thing he left off the list, off of his bag, which I thought was odd, was he didn't have a headlamp on there or any kind of light. And maybe he did and I didn't write it down or whatever, but if it was me, I would throw in a headlamp in there. At least a headlamp, if not a tactical lamp, flashlight. But for me, in that particular situation, I would be throwing something like that in that pack. So with that, stay tuned for the next video.